Hey guys, welcome to Dark and Glittery. I'm your host, Amanda.
And I'm Jamie.
Welcome, Darklings. Let's do this.
I'm fucking rusty, man. It's been a while. Okay.
I know.
Welcome back.
We're back.
We're back, you little bitches.
Round 2 of going MIA.
Episode 10.
10.
We won't go MIA again unless we get called into a jury case.
Facts.
So, but let's be honest. Let's be honest for 1 second. If you got called into jury duty tomorrow, what do you want to do?
Like, what would I do? It really does depend on the case, but I feel like it's super... I don't have time for that right now.
That's your first reaction. Like, fuck the federal system. Fuck the state, the government.
Yeah, I think actually jury duty should be like subbing. You should have to go on subbing duty and you stop your job, you keep getting paid and come sub for a week.
As a teacher. So
Yeah.
On a jury duty case, only if it's a murder trial. So if you can have an option, that would be my option. If I get called into jury duty, which by the way, I've been called into jury duty 3 times in the last 6 weeks. 6 weeks?
6 weeks?
But
3 times?
Okay.
I knew about 1.
Every time that they write me a letter, I'm literally not in town. So I'm writing to the clerk and asking and providing receipts of expenses of flights out of town because I'm not in town. So every single time now I receive my 3rd one on Friday, which is for June 1st, and we're in Chicago for work. So I submitted a withdrawal application. Please, I'm not in town. Now I'll be mad if it was a murder case, but I can't attend it. So that's that.
Wow.
Yes.
What do they do if someone just keeps putting it off?
Not quite sure.
Is that like legal?
Well, if I'm in jail soon, you'll know.
I'll sell your ring.
You'll know. Sorry.
We'll cut that out.
No, I like that. The whole world knows now.
I know. I'll get you out of jail somewhere or another.
Yeah. I mean, maybe. Okay.
So we will go MIA if you're on jury duty or if you're in jail.
Correct.
You miss jury duty.
The point of today's episode is not that I miss jury duty. The point of today's episode is to talk about jury duty. This isn't I'm just sitting in a room, this is a boring case version of jury duty. This is federal. This is real.
Stop slamming or it's going to make bad noises in the sound machine.
This is somebody's entire life being decided by our guest.
That it is, when you wrote this down, like that was wild to think about. Because we think about jury duty and like, okay, we have to go do something. It's probably going to be like this person drove drunk. This person owes money to their baby mama. You know, this person parked wrong 1,800 times. But like,
Boring.
Those are boring. But like, this is like someone's life.
Mm-hmm. So today we have Kat. She's with us and she got called into a federal jury duty case. She was actually picked. She was hand-picked. And boy, she tried to get out of it, but handpicked. But she's going to tell us everything that she legally can, what it's actually like to be selected, what happens behind those courtroom doors, what you're allowed to say, what you can't say. Please don't get arrested, Kat. Nothing. Everything you say here, you will be held liable for. And what it actually feels like to sit there deciding somebody's fate.
Yeah, it's a wild way to think about it.
Because I don't think, and we're going to unveil all of it right now. So welcome to Dark and Glittery, Kat. Welcome to our chaos. Please introduce yourself in the most professional manner you could. Make that jury duty federal court happy and proud.
Be proud. I am Kat. I was chosen for federal jury duty. I tried my darndest to get out of it. I told them I had a baby. I told them I don't trust cops. I said that my family is full of lawyers, and they still chose me. Unreasonable.
Did they care? Did it matter?
They liked it. They liked it. I was like, I have at the time he was 4 months old. I was like, I have a 4-month-old baby at home. I just got back to work from maternity leave. Like, it's really just like chaos. And, you know, it's not a good time for me. And they looked me dead in the eyes and said, "You're chosen juror number 6." And I said, "Okay, great." And there I was. But it turns out they liked me because the defendant had a 6-month-old baby.
Oh.
So the defense thought I was a good choice.
Did you secretly flip them the bird behind their back?
I rolled my eyes. I said fuck out loud when I was chosen.
You're like,
Yeah.
did you know about the case when you got chosen, or did you learn about it after?
I did not know about the case, but it feels sort of silly that I didn't because it was big Connecticut news. So I'm from Connecticut. I have lived here my whole life. And, this was news 8 years ago. Big crime news. A senator stole a whole bunch of money from the taxpayers and like the Federal Elections Committee. And I didn't know anything about it.
We have to backtrack a little bit when you were
Yeah.
picked.
Okay, yeah.
You literally told them that you think cops are liars. And they were
Yeah.
like, that's our girl. This one? The liar and cop one?
Probably. I would think the prosecutor side would be like, oh, maybe she'll vote for us because if she thinks the cops are liars, then she might be like, no, that's not true. There's no way that's real. And then if the defense is like, this is a baby mama, we need a baby mama with some empathy and sympathy who might cry on jury duty. So they both probably were like, that's a splash of good for both of us.
Well, so what's crazy is when you go into federal jury duty, it's not like civil where you just go in and you fill out the form and then they pick some people. You have to sit in a courtroom with 90 other people and walk up to a microphone in the center of the room and read all of these answers to about 30 different questions. So you're on blast in front of all these people, speaking in front of the judge, all the lawyers, all the defendant, the prosecutor, everyone is in the room. The defendant's family was in the room for this too. There were a lot of people. And so you go through this list of questions, do I know any FBI agents? Do I have anybody in my family who's a lawyer? Any medical problems?
Yes.
Do you have any other reason why you can't? So your age, your occupation, your parents' occupations, your husband or partner's occupation. They need to know everything about you. And then you go back and you sit in the seat and they say, do you swear to do this, that, and the other thing? And you have to stand up individually and say, I do.
Wow.
And then they choose from there.
What if you said I don't?
I don't know. I didn't think to say I don't. I didn't think to say I don't swear to tell the truth.
Yeah. What if you are like, yes, I know FBI agents on this case?
Then someone did. They brought them into the room individually after this whole process and interviewed them one-on-one.
Scary.
See, my friend just dodged or didn't get chosen for jury duty. And she said that when they called you up to talk to the judge and whatever, that when you talked into the microphone, just the prosecutors and the judge could hear it, but not anyone else in the crowd. Is that true or false?
Not in where I was. I know the occupation of all these 90 people and their mothers.
See, it really kind of worries me because if this is their family's there and you're chosen and they know that you have a baby and everything about you now, and now that family knows, well, juror number 6, we know everything about her. So if she does us dirty,
we're
gonna
coming after
her. Yeah.
It's nerve-wracking, too, because at least for this case, you left the courthouse every day and there were reporters and people filming. And so if anybody in the family or the prosecutor or the juror, or not the juror, the defendant, if anybody recognized you after or did a face scan with all this Google imaging nonsense now, they could find you very easily.
Did you ever get hounded by media after court when you were walking out?
So at the end of the trial, they held the jury for about 2 hours after everything closed. So they wouldn't let us leave. It was a very polite way of doing that. We went into the judge's quarters and we sat there and chatted with him about the case and about what it's like to be a juror. And then after a while, he was like, all right, you can go. And so by the time when the trial was over, when we left, nobody was outside anymore.
So for your safety.
Yeah. And the safety of the baby. Because a hot baby mama coming through.
Yeah.
Hot baby mama. Were there any hot lawyers?
No.
Were there any hot jury duty members?
No. No, I actually made friends with a 75-year-old Colombian man, and every day we got lunch together. So that was sort of like the highlight of my jury duty.
Jimmy, cheating.
That was the glittery moment of her jury duty. A glittery moment.
Me and Ivan email now.
The fact that a 75-year-old emails, I'm impressed. I love this for you. Now let's paint the entire experience just at the start. We'll get into the end later. But your first day walking in, what did it feel like?
So when you get to the federal court, I was immediately annoyed because, I like to work. I just got back from maternity leave. I'm feeling this frustration that I have to go there. Like, if I didn't have a baby a couple months ago, I would go in there no problem and be like, all right, it's fine. This is my civic duty. Great. But it's bad timing. So I arrive and you have to go through full security, take your shoes off, put everything through X-ray machine like you're at the airport, and then go through the metal detector and, then you can go in. So I get there, there's a line of about 30 people outside, all called to jury duty. So we're waiting. And you go in to this room after and you sit and you have to watch this like 30-minute long video of Sandra Day O'Connor telling you about how this is such a privilege. After all of this, you're sitting in this, it's a very hot, tiny room with all these people. And then finally you get called into the courtroom to do this whole stand at the microphone, tell everything about yourself and why you can do this or not. And that takes, an hour and a half to get through every single person. And then you go back and you wait in this other room while they interview people one by one who raise their hand saying they can't do this or that or no, whoever. So then I was in this room for 6 hours waiting for me to find out if I had to serve or not. So this is an entire day now. I got there at 8 a.m. And it's now 5:30 in the early evening. And
they like warn you about that? Like, hey, you're going to be here for hours, bring snacks.
And they didn't tell you anything. They gave you like a couple snacks, like in a little utility cart, and that was it. Wow.
Did you come away skinnier or
just that one?
Did you come away skinnier from jury duty?
Yeah, that's where I lost all my baby weight.
Yeah.
So it was a lot of waiting around. It's 5:30. You've been there since 8 a.m.
Yep. And then they come in and they read off a series of numbers and you're like, okay, well, what does that mean? And they say, these people can go. And then you're there even longer while they then decide which of the bottom 30 are chosen. They choose 16 total. And the judge ended up telling me that the lower your number when you're assigned one, when you walk in, the more likely that you are going to be chosen because the prosecutor and the defense attorney check off and they eventually fill their roster of people that they want. And it doesn't necessarily make it to the last half.
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Were you number
I was number
one?
6.
That's
high likelihood of being chosen.
You were chosen.
So I want to go in there as 89.
Yes. Yeah. Or 69. Okay. It's not really getting juicy yet. You're chosen. You're disappointed. You're mad.
Yeah.
Okay. The whole day. And then they call your name and you say, fuck again, super loud.
Everyone heard me.
Not arrested. And you go home. Had you met the lawyers at this point yet or seen the defendant?
Yes. They were in the room when you went to the microphone in the courtroom. But after you're chosen, you then file into the juror's booth and they do an introduction on what's going to happen next.
So were you judging them while they were judging you?
All day, every day. I was doing some little sketches, some courtroom sketches in my juror's notepad the whole time. So I walked away with quite a few nice little illustrations.
Did you and the defendant ever lock eyes? And was it
multiple times? Because I naturally, this is just my luck, I'm front and center in the juror's booth. So every single time an attorney is up, they're right in front of me looking at me. And then the defendant is sitting directly, adjacent to where we're sitting. So multiple times we made eye contact, mostly when I was like, this lawyer's unhinged. And so I was rolling my eyes. I felt bad. He saw me. And then I'm like, oh gosh. I looked to Ivan. I'm like, he saw that.
Was the judge scary?
The judge was so
Not
nice.
scary, but intimidating.
He was
Nice.
He was what?
lovely. We would get a break every 2 hours to stretch our legs and get coffee or go and get lunch. And he would keep it to this very specific rhythm. And if we were starting something new, like 20 minutes before the next break, he'd be like, all right, we're going to stop. We'll meet back after the break. And so he was very considerate of our time. He got us out on time every day. And his voice was so soothing. It was, he could narrate oceanography documentaries.
ASMR.
He didn't put you to sleep?
I would
Luckily,
I
didn't
would
try
pay
to-
to have this man read me bedtime stories.
Ooh. What else would you pay him for?
to not do jury duty again. Or maybe.
Well, that's a good point. When you do federal jury duty, you need to do it for 2 weeks, 2 full weeks. Do you have to ever do
In
it again?
2 years, I'm eligible.
That is the government is so fucked.
It's so weird because, like, I guess I'm putting this out there, manifesting it. There's people like myself who have never been asked.
That's shocking. I've been asked 3 times. What kind of a citizen am I?
I don't know.
Comparable to you, this nice, sweet
But
teacher.
once they hear your background, they're gonna be like, "She's out."
This girl, she likes to stab ballistic
They're
gel
gonna
heads.
look through. They're gonna look through your Instagram and be like, "Yeah, no, she's a nut job."
Yeah. Well, I'm gonna. What advice do you have for me when I finally do accept the jury duty, which probably won't ever happen? I'll just keep denying it. But like, what advice do you have? Because clearly, having a lawyer in the family, having a baby, which I do not have, thank the God, Lord, what advice should I say?
So I asked
To get out of it.
my criminal defense attorney uncle, because I asked him for guidance before I went in. So it turns out for federal, there's not much that you can do unless you know anybody who's directly involved. But for civil, if you just say, my whoever is a lawyer, you'll be able to get out easy peasy. But federal is tough.
Can they confirm that you have, like,
Yeah.
I don't have a lawyer in my family, but could I give your uncle's name?
100%. From that's what it seems like to me. You could say, oh,
Yeah.
my
What's his name?
cousins.
What's his name? Like, anybody listening now, we're
feel
going to have
like-
a criminal
I
defense
feel
lawyer.
like they would be like, "Hey, do you have a lawyer in your family?" You'd be like, "Well, what's this case about?" For I may or may not, depending on if this is going to be cool.
Or I'm going to have a lawyer in the family in like a year. He'll be a lawyer.
Yeah.
You know? I can say that. Maybe that will get me out.
Like, my son is in middle school and he's eventually
He's going to be a lawyer.
gonna be a lawyer.
He's 9. But really.
But he has big goals. He's striving to go to the top, you know?
Oh my God.
We need a lawyer, so he is doing it. He drew the straw.
Yeah, we debate all the time. All the time. Mostly about like meta bucks, but and he wins, but it's fine.
Oh,
Okay. Were there, going back to this jury bit, it's crazy to me also. I see it in the Lincoln Lawyer all the time. The jury and the defendant talks to the jury and the prosecutor talks to the jury, and that, to me, I would be doodling too, but mine would be stick people. Hers are pretty like hibiscus flowers, I'm sure, or like things like that. Were there any moments during the trial that were just downright crazy?
Yes. There was a point. There were a couple points that were crazy. There was a woman who was brought in because she was a co-conspirator. And she had worked out a deal with the FBI saying that she would be totally honest with them and help them find any information that they were looking for because she was so directly involved. And in exchange, she would get a deal on her sentencing. Because these people are up for 20 years per accusation, which there were 6 of. So, and this woman was a teacher who volunteered to help with this campaign and didn't know that she was doing anything wrong. So she was now convicted as a felon and put in this horrible position when she in no way should have been doing this job to begin with. So she broke down sobbing on the stand when it was her turn because the defense attorney is like, no, 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 you're lying. You know, you'll be arrested and you're working with the feds. Some people might call you a rat. And she was like, I'm just trying to help. I made sure that I'm honest. I never would lie. And she's like full tears. And I felt so bad for her. She was just trying to be honest and she should never have been wrapped up in this. So that was a crazy moment.
Is she in jail?
Her sentencing was rescheduled for later this summer. So we'll see.
Okay. We're not getting there yet.
Okay, so that's a different person.
That's a different person.
Yeah.
Okay.
Another crazy part.
That did not ruin her life.
I did not ruin her life. No, but I did play a part in ruining this other guy's life.
Ooh, all right.
Ooh.
So besides this girl in big tears, like any moments that made you feel like, oh shit, this is a big deal?
I realized that it was a big deal when I found out all the different accusations that were placed upon this person. And when you're a juror, you don't know how many years per things that you're being tried for. And I realized it was such a big deal after the trial was over and I saw 20 years per. So now I'm looking at this guy who, you know, when you're a juror, you have to be very specific and did he or didn't he break this law? And it's outlined very clearly for you. So there was no denying that he broke all these laws. It was very obvious. There was not even a smidge of doubt, which, you know, it's guilty beyond reasonable doubt. So when I realized that this man could go to jail for 120 years, I was
He's not going to be
shock. And like, meanwhile, this whole time I'm looking at his family in the stands who come every single day. So it was heartbreaking at the time when we were delegating. And then I realized how very serious it was.
At the point when you are making this decision, you don't know when you're deciding yes or no, the years, because that could sway people, I bet.
Wild.
Yeah. And what's funny too is, so I was the juror leader when we were making these decisions. Of course. So, you know, I'm leading the jury. I'm like, number 6. I'm like,
no, not number 1. Number 6 is a juror leader. Okay. Baby mama. Okay.
Well, no one else was stepping up to the plate. So I was like, all right, we have to be efficient with our time because this is taking forever. So, you know, you're leading the jury through all of the accusations. You're defining what wire fraud is specifically under the law, which is crazy. It's anything from an email to a text message. It's anything that goes through the internet. That's wire fraud. So we're defining what these things mean, what conspiracy means, what fraud means, everything. And, you know, you're reading it verbatim, the thing that they're being accused for. So did so-and-so commit wire fraud with intention to commit conspiracy? And you're like, okay, well, I'm looking at the evidence, like, yes, it's outlined right there. And so some people debate and say, well, no, but like, what about this? And you have to just continue to redirect and say, well, we're not talking about that. We're talking about these specific words and these specific definitions. So it's challenging to be a part of the jury because it's easy to get off track and have a little bit of heart and say, well, you know, I don't know if he deserves to be guilty, but he is guilty. Mm-hmm. So that's a tough decision to make for sure.
We would get so off topic.
I would be, if I had a person like Ivan or somebody that I liked, I would be like, hey, you want to have drinks at lunch?
I had a cocktail every single day.
Oh, yeah. I mean, I think you would have to. Is that allowed? Did you have to tell them?
No one ever asked if we did. So me and my 75-year-old BFF went out to a different ethnicity lunch every single day and we had a cocktail.
Every moment.
Yeah. Ivan, you're next on this podcast.
Oh my God, that would be fun.
We need Ivan. Ivan and Kat reuniting. Does you think he has a computer?
He does.
He can email.
Emails me.
Ivan. Okay.
Okay. So when you were with Ivan,
did you kiss?
No, that's not what I was going to ask.
Did you have intercourse?
Gross. Ew. Ew. Were there things you were not allowed to talk about?
We could not discuss the case at all.
Even between the two of you?
Yeah. So even when you're like on a juror's break, you can't talk about the case at all. So nobody in the jury could talk about it until delegations. So 2 weeks, we had to come up with anything but the case to talk about. So you learned a lot about people. Like one woman was from Jamaica and she gave me this like magical recipe for stretch mark cream. And now my stretch marks are gone. So I like learned a lot. And you like have to talk to these people and learn about their lives.
Kat, there's two things. One, Amanda wants a stretch mark cream recipe. And two, I now know what I'm going to say when I get picked for jury duty should not get picked if it's a boring case. At lunch, I'm going to talk to my friends about the case.
There you go. That's what you do. I'm a huge gossip. I can't keep a secret.
Yeah.
Facts. That is true. She has to actually, if you're hiding from people. So did you got to go home every day?
Yeah. But so some like murder cases, you're sequestered in a hotel.
You could do that if you were like alone in a hotel room.
Can you have your phone?
No.
I don't know.
Not for a
I
murder.
don't know if you're sequestered. I was able to have my phone the whole time, except for in the courtroom and in the jurors' waiting area. So like before and after. I got at lunch. You have to leave in your car.
So, but were you able to like look up these people, do anything, social media?
No, and actually they pulled one person out of the jury because they Googled something. And I don't know how they know that. Or maybe they posted on social media somewhere that they were chosen as a juror, but one person was removed.
Whoa. That was my next question. How would they know if I Googled it? I mean, they're pulling my IP records.
I have no idea.
Yeah, they probably do.
Okay.
They probably stick your phone into their machine while you're in the courtroom.
Yeah. Or
taking all your data
on your phone. Also, don't say this out loud, Kat, but just deny. Just say no, because I'm sure the answer is no. But did you and Ivan talk about the case at lunch?
We shit talked the other jurors, but we didn't talk about the case.
Ooh, that's a good avenue to go down.
I like that.
I do too. I would love to know like who was the most annoying juror.
There was a daycare woman who would not shut her face. It was like there were like a box of donuts.
I mean, what was her job? She was a daycare worker.
Yeah, she was like 22.
She was definitely fiddling the
gross. What is with you right now? That's disgusting. We'll put her on.
I don't want jury duty. Pull this record. Guilty. Pull this record. I won't be caught on.
So, okay. So you guys would shit talk. Who else would you shit talk?
We would basically just shit talk the people who would come in and be like trying to talk about the case, but also just trying to talk about way too much of their personal life. Like, I don't need to hear about how you
have hemorrhoids right now.
About how you have hemorrhoids.
I would like to hear that. This is why people's difference of opinions is a beautiful thing.
You would not want to talk about that with a random stranger.
Yeah, for sure.
If a woman came up to you and was like, well, this didn't happen. But if she came up to you and was like, I have huge exploding hemorrhoids, you'd be like, tell me more.
I would say, show me.
There was
actually she would. Show me. I went to a lacrosse practice the other day and there were people sitting on the ground and I said, you guys are going to get pinworms in your butt for sitting on the ground. And then I proceeded to show them what that was. Not from me, not my butt.
Fun fact.
Okay.
Side topic.
How
bad.
Go way off topic. One of the jurors was a mortician. And she would show pictures of the bodies that she would come across. So that was something that was really interesting.
What's her name?
I don't remember.
We want her on the podcast.
I want to know, does she talk to dead people?
She might.
Is she?
Wait, I love that. I want to talk to a person that fucking makes dead people look good.
I could probably find her email.
We would like to talk to her.
Yeah, we would.
Okay, so she would show you the dead bodies. Okay, that's a little disturbing, but
Cool. But cool.
oh wait, what did it look like?
And so
Oh.
I stopped looking after day one. I was like, this is a lot. But the first one,
Yeah, like you already might be mind fucked at the end of this, and so like she's adding onto those layers of nightmares.
yes.
Kat, did you tell this mortician that you bought your friend the most realistic type of head to a human skull there possibly ever could be, and that
It was her.
it was Kat? Yep, and that your friend and her children proceeded to stab it.
It was the perfect gift.
True. So was a dick lipstick. Yeah. Okay. Okay. So here we are.
Oh man.
You've gotten through. There's some surprising moments. The judge is super nice. Some of the jurors are cuckoo. One of them is amazing. You don't talk about the court case at lunch. Lots of sandpaper hand jobs are given. But also, what is it like kind of at the end? When, from an emotional standpoint, I'm sure your emotions are progressing throughout the entire trial. But at the end, is it at an all-time high because you know you're having to make a decision?
Yeah. So, I was there for 2 weeks every single day. And so the first week was a lot of information building, background and education on what these things are that he's being accused of. And week 2, we start getting witnesses that are crying, witnesses that flew in from Google headquarters, witnesses that came from the Pentagon, like all these different high-level people. And so now it's really interesting. And then we're interviewing, on the stand. I'm not, the attorneys are. The wives of certain people, the people who were co-conspirators, it's all intense. And then we're wondering if the defendant is going to go up, and he doesn't. So we're sort of like, well, that's not good. And so now, we hear the closing argument. Defense attorney literally put on a Valentine's Day decoration boa on his neck and put a party tablecloth over his stand and was jumping up and down and holding a disco ball, being like,
Wait,
we're all
I'm
talking
confused.
about yeah, I know. Me too. The whole jury, we're all confused. We're like, what the hell is going on? And he's holding up this disco ball being like, this is all from a party that happened 8 years ago. I don't think it's really that big of a deal. And he's like literally jumping up and down and dancing. So now we're just
Like
confused.
really trying to get your attention.
Yes. And distract
Yes.
from the evidence that the FBI just laid out.
Right. Like, hey, look over here. Different train wreck.
Yeah.
With glitter.
With glitter. Their literal sparkles were flying around the courtroom.
Different definition of dark and glittery right there.
He's hired for me.
Yeah. He was truthfully one of the worst I've ever seen in my life. So then now we're going into deliberate. And, people are naturally very upset by this whole thing because you're deciding the fate of this guy. So we talk about it. We go through line by line. People are, getting actively upset. They're like, oh my gosh, I can't do this. This is just crazy. I shouldn't be a juror. And so you just have to get through it. You're in it. So you try to be as logical as possible and think through it without any emotion attached, because it's, did he or didn't he break this specific set of words? So we got through it in a couple hours, which was shocking, like 3 hours. But, some
Is that
days.
fast for a case like this?
I think that it is pretty fast considering, but it was so obvious. Like there were text messages saying, I don't care. And other people saying, isn't this illegal? And him being like, just do it. So it's sort of like,
He knew.
you can't really say he didn't do it.
Is he like a mob boss and he made people do it?
He was like a senator who wanted to win and didn't care how. He was impatient. If he just waited a little while, he could have done it without stealing money, but he stole money.
So crazy, Kat. This is a friggin' movie.
Yeah. Do you feel like all the jurors were kind of cohesive about all the facts, or were there like convincing? Was there a lot of convincing, was there battles of two different sides?
There was a lot of, me, because I was the silly juror leader, me being like, that's irrelevant. Rethink this situation. So, and then, putting it out again, pulling up information on this giant screen and saying, do you think that this right here is clear enough evidence for X, Y, and Z? And then everyone would be like, yeah, after that, but people would still be upset and say, well.
Did people like appreciate that you took on that job, or were they like, oh, she always tells me I'm going off task?
Were you being talked shit about
Probably.
when the other people went to lunch?
I was rude as hell. I was like, I don't care. We are here to make a decision. I got to go home.
The reason that it only took 3 hours out of 3 days is because you were at the helm.
Yeah. And I was ruthless. I'm like, I have a baby. I haven't seen him in weeks. Let's go the fuck home.
Yeah.
Everyone was aligned, it seemed like. I mean, within the 3 hours, obviously, everybody was aligned. But did it take time to get there? Or was everybody aligned right at the get?
Right at the get. So there were 6 things that we had to discuss. And the first 5 were very clear. Like, absolutely. And then the last one, we weren't quite sure exactly what we were looking for until, thank God, one guy was like, I'm pretty sure we're looking at this. And then it was obvious, but it took us a while to figure out that one because we didn't understand what the law specifically was laying out because it's conspiracy so broad. But, he didn't claim.
No lawyer is in the room with you. Like, nobody's guiding you how to do all this or, like, look at the law and understand
it's
it.
It's like an escape room that...
It is like an escape room.
So crazy. I would be like, mentor, I need you to help me understand what this is.
Am I allowed to Google search this word? Like, I don't want to be red flagged and kicked off, but I don't know what this word means.
They give you a book of definitions that are with the case because you can't use your phones. So we had this like book of definitions. And then, for this last charge, we have to write a note to hand to the bailiff who hands to the judge. And then the judge calls everyone back in so that you can ask a question. And then when we were like, well, what exactly are we looking for to define this charge? And his response was literally, well, unfortunately, this is for you guys to decide and interpret the law at your own pace and way. So we resumed deliberations. And then he sent us back and we're like, okay, well.
That was no help.
At least his voice was soothing. Yeah. And you're like, okay.
You're like, kumbaya.
Now I feel like an idiot for asking a question. Like,
crazy.
And then the defendant's probably like, oh my God, they don't even know what they're doing back there.
Probably.
Yeah. You guys made a decision. You're there. You are the captain of this ship, Queen Bitch Cat. They're making moves here and
telling bitches to shut up.
Ride in the motion of the ocean, baby. One to go see your baby to ride that motion of the ocean.
What?
With her husband. Now,
whoa. Okay.
The moment that it was then revealed in the court. Fast forward, by the way, did you go back to court that day? And then the verdict was revealed that same day?
Yeah. So when we deliberate, we started at 1:00. And then by 5:00, we had made the decision and were ushered back into the courtroom. And we were there until about 7:00 for the final shebang of it all. Because after you say, we, the jury, find the defendant guilty on this charge, guilty on this charge, guilty on this charge, the defense attorney was upset by that, naturally. And then he went one by one for each juror and said, do you swear that this is your conviction uncompromised by others without reasonable doubt? And he makes you stand up and say, yes, in front of everybody. And so it's this whole show where you have to then stand up and look the defendant basically in the eye and say, yeah, you're guilty. It was horrible.
What was the defendant's face like? And also, more importantly, what was his kids' faces like?
I did not even dare to look over near the family, I think that I would have broke down crying. And truthfully, it was hard to even be in the same view of the defendant because he just looked like so sunken. This man has been on house arrest for 8 years already. He's not allowed to leave the country. He has to do a monthly pee in a cup test. Like, this man's whole life has been this conviction, and now he's going to go to prison. So there's just like this awful wrenching feeling in your body to say guilty, unfortunately.
You like this man.
I didn't like this man. I thought he was sort of like a scumbag, but I felt for the guy.
Like what he did was a scummy thing, but he's probably not a horrible person.
Yeah. Do I think that the punishment fits the crime? Not necessarily. But
And now is that because like the state of Connecticut rules is another state different rules? Like,
so yeah, I think the reason why there are so many years assigned to each offense is because it was across state lines. So this guy, I mean, he can get up to 20 years per offense. So the judge later during the sentencing trial might decide it's just one. So I hope for his sake it is, because, you know, it seems crazy to go to jail for longer than 6 years, like federal prison for longer than 6 years over this. My personal opinion is they shouldn't let him run for office, and they should make him return the money plus 100%.
Yeah.
Well,
yeah,
but,
Yeah.
you know,
financially. And then his jobs probably can never be in a financial type of.
I don't think it's fair that he gets raped in prison.
totally fair.
No.
He's going to have to.
I agree with that. I agree.
So you ruin this guy's life and
Potentially.
you leave jury duty. What are your emotions? And then does life just instantly go back to normal? That weekend where you're just like picking daisies and gardening, like what happened?
When I left the courthouse, I went and ate pizza with my husband and had a cocktail and said, this is really such a horrible thing that just happened. I told him all about the closing arguments. I told him about the deliberations, and I was like so energetic, like buzzing. And now it's over.
Yeah.
And I don't know anything else. So it's weird. It's a weird feeling.
So then you finally were able to tell him what was his thoughts on it. Like watching you going through it, and then now you're able to like be like, this is the crazy shit that's been in my head.
Yeah, he was shocked in a lot of things that happened. He was like, "Are you kidding me?" But then at the end, he also felt the same that I did, of like, that's sort of silly that could be his punishment, because that's like he stole like $300,000 of taxpayer money, which, like, to go to jail for that long doesn't seem right. So hopefully it's not. But he was also in the same mindset of, this is crazy and unnecessary.
Like, where are you with it? Like, now, do you think about it? Do you dream about it?
I thought about it for several days after, because it just weighed really heavy on me, of like, I have now altered the course of this man's life forever, permanently. Like, that's a huge weight to carry, and his children and family and friends, everything like that. It's just, it sits hard on your heart. And then what's weird is that, like, so passionately I felt about this, and I felt for the family and for the guy. And then, you know, it's over, and, you know, no one else wants to hear about it. And you're like, okay, so you sort of let it go. So now I'm like in this weird place where it is what it is. That was crazy. But I'm sort of like, oh, okay, well, moving on. Which feels insensitive to say, but that's just the reality of what it is.
It is. You are.
I mean, you can't hold on to that.
Yeah.
Would you want to do jury duty again?
I do think that after doing this whole experience, I do think that it was cool. But I think that if I were to do it again, and like a suggestion to anybody who gets sort of stuck doing this, is to just be fully involved. Like, when I came home at night, I went to work. I worried about getting home in time for bedtime every single day. I caught up on everything that I could. I tried to make dinner and prep for the week. And I think that if you're selected as a juror, just like totally dive in and nothing else matters, because otherwise, you know, you're not as focused. It's very stressful and unnecessary. So I would do it again.
You know what? I love this whole story. This actually might be my favorite podcast episode so far, because this is so interesting, and I think you're just a great guest. also gives me such hope about my future as a juror.
Yeah. And you know what's interesting too? The judge said to us, he says that even though it's annoying, this is the last true form of justice because you're having a group decide your fate and not just one person being like, yeah, whatever. Like everyone has to agree. It's the last true form of justice.
Such a good ending.
It's a good title.
That's what was it again? Last true form of justice. Last true form. I love that. That's the name of this episode. Last true form of justice.
Wait, that was such a good line. What was it again? The last true.
Well, okay. Thank you. You are the best. You are not off the hook yet. Because before you go, we are going to make you do our dark and glittery segment.
Okay.
Kat, what's your dark and
Okay, my dark and glittery event. This is a challenging question because life is so glittery in my world. I can't even think of a darkness. So I'm going to say my dark and glittery moment is that I now wake up to the sound of a screeching banshee child, but he's getting teeth and he's interested in chewing food. So I gave him a banana and he was eating it. And then I put peanut butter on it to test this allergy. No reaction. The next day we were out to dinner. I put a shrimp in his hand and he gnawed on that shrimp. No shellfish allergy. Then the next day I gave him some scrambled eggs. No egg allergy. So I'm risking it, but we're getting it done.
No, that's exciting. Those are good things because then it's like one less thing off your that you worry about.
Every time I give him something, I'm like, we might go to the hospital. But that hasn't happened. So we're good to go.
I think it's a great dark and glittery moment.
Me
of the
too.
week.
I think so too. That was really great. Oh,
Jamie, do you have one to share?
well, we haven't podcasted for about a month. So I'm going to do it over the past month.
Okay.
Okay.
That's a lot.
Great. Over the past month, I was engaged to. Is that a word? I became engaged. Over the past month, the love of my life proposed to me. Love of my life. Don't cut this. The love of my life proposed to me. And we're going to get married in 2027. But with that are also moments that are scary, right? Are dark moments of critical conversations with children and other important people and family and friends to make sense of everything. And so while there's such beautifulness, if that's a word,
Glittery to come.
in engagement, such glitter, it's unbelievable and beautiful. There was dark moments that actually were quite beautiful in itself because every conversation was great and respected and understood. And especially with my children went over really, really well. And so there wasn't really a lot of darkness, but
Yes. There was probably the anxious feelings and the nervousness of like telling your loved ones for their reactions and like,
sure.
oh, this is the moment I'm going to have to do that. So like that can be dark at times and like you overthink things and you're like,
I'm human.
Is this right time?
But it all worked out. But it all worked out. So glittery endings and humongous.
She got a rock on her finger.
Kat said it was the most beautiful ring she's
I
ever.
would say that my dark and glittery moment, well, we went on our cruise. That was fabulous. I would say my favorite part of my cruise, which was glittery, was like Calvin living his best life. He dove in literally and figuratively. Wow. He dove in literally. Okay. And we swam with the turtles. And that was awesome. I would say the dark part of the trip, well, the ocean is really fucking dark. And that is scary. Terrifying.
Mermaids are in it.
And there was only like one day that the like boat was like rocking, which that was like my biggest fear of the boat rocking. If it was like that the whole time, I would have thrown up a million times, I think. But there was only one day of that. The ocean's dark. But we did live our best life and we were adventurous and had a great time.
And the darkness to that could be that maybe you're broke now.
I'm
always
broke. I'm a teacher.
Yeah. Vacation, broke. Okay. Well, if you've made it this far in this podcast, we love you, you little darklings. Darklings. We've said it before, but we really won't wait this long to drop another episode. And Kat, from the bottom of our dark and glittery hearts, we love you.
Thanks.
And as always, stay a little dark, stay a little glittery. And then when you receive the letter for jury duty, just tell them you're going to talk shit about the case at lunch. We'll see you next time.
Remember to like, rate, subscribe, and follow, and share with your dark and glittery friends. Goodbye.
We will haunt your feed every week, but only if you subscribe.
Join the squad. Like, rate, and follow, and tell your glitter-loving friends.
Peace!
Bye!